Hi guys, Thogrey here for a new video, and this video will be a tier list video for patch 9.2.5 season 3 of Shadowlands. It will be a short and sweet video because I already made the tier list, so you can skip ahead if you want, but I'm going to explain why I've put X class to X tier. I prefer to do it this way because I don't want to make it a 40-minute video. I tried it like a real video and it ended up to be a 1 hour video. I told myself like, okay, I lost my time, but I prefer to not make a 1 hour video on YouTube. So I'm going to explain first and foremost why or what rank represented what. So S tier, it means that it is God tier fun. So we're talking about fun, we're not talking about like power level, so don't get it twisted. But fun means for me viability of comms, variety of comms, variety of gameplay. The gameplay itself, is it fun or not, engaging or not? Do you have a lot of ways to play the game? Like, you can have multiple RMPs, but does it feel different with Thug? Does it feel different with, for example, if you're playing like a BM Hunter, like KFC? Does it feel different whenever you're playing Beastcleave with an Enhancement Shaman, for example? All in all, this is also the rated things that I'm going to go for. So please let me know in the comment section below what is the most fun class spec for you in Shadowlands, and do you recommend it to actually play it? Because I'm myself playing a lot of classes these days. Just I like to have a taste of everything, and that makes me actually very excited for Dragonflight because I want to test all the classes, all the specs, and feel how different it is with Shadowlands. So let's start right away. So you will see that I already did the tier list, so I'm going to make it smaller. All right. No, I'm going to do it like this. I think it's better so you can see me. Uh, all right. So I already did the tier list because I wanted to actually have it in front of my eyes, and I can explain spec by spec, but really quickly why I put it in S tier in one or two sentences, or maybe three sentences, and give you an idea of what you can expect from that class if you're wanting to main that class for the rest of the season. Arms Warrior, it is very fun to play. It has loads of PvP talents that are actually usable, not in contrary, for example, with a Destruction Warlock where you only have 3 or 4 PvP talents that you are going to switch off or on, but really you don't really have a lot of options. Or for example, if you're playing a Demonology Warlock, pretty much everything is set in stone, but Arms Warrior, a lot of fun, a lot of variety, a lot of comms. I feel like the meta is also switching towards that meta, so I feel like Arms Warrior will have a lot of fun with the rest of the season, and it is also more engaging gameplay than Fury Warriors. Elemental Shaman. Elemental Shaman has a lot of possibilities to actually burst, a lot of possibilities that you can actually use in 2s, in 3s, and in RPGs. You have loads of legendaries that you can actually use. You can play Necrolord, you can play Kirin if you want to cheese someone, but all in all, it is a very fun, engaging class that you can play. And often or not, you are actually not targeted if you're playing like Lock Shaman Druid, for example, or you're playing with a Mage, although it's not the best comp, don't play with a Mage. But if you're playing with a Shadow Priest, or with a Boomy, or with a melee like a Warrior or a Windwalker, you will feel that you have a lot of agency with that class. Disc Priest, although the power level is not the best, at least gameplay wise, it is the most engaging healer in my opinion. I play Disc Priest, I love Disc Priest, I swear by Disc Priest, and I hope that they will get meta at one point. But for now, Holy Priests are really, really better, and I feel like they need a lot of buffs to make it happen to be S tier, at least mana wise, because mana wise it is very terrible to play Disc Priest. Fire Mages, I feel like it's S tier because you can just combust go and kill someone, although I don't know if it's S tier by all means. I feel like it's A tier because it's still repetitive. You need to do always the same things, but games can also be very different although you play the same comp. Like RMP can feel different because of the kiting, because of the engagement, because of the enemy responding to CDs, trying to run away. And I feel like since Fire Mages has been obviously god tier since season 1, I feel like you cannot go wrong with going with a Fire Mage. Frost Mage, I think it's a fun class. I would say it's also A tier, my bad. It's it's still reliant on Frostbolt. You only do Frostbolt, 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 but at least you have some engaging aspects with Polymorph, Blink, the Novas that you can do, the ice blocks that you can do. You have a lot of variety, I would say, comp-wise as a Frost Mage, although it's still restrictive to caster comps. You can play with, I would say, Elemental Shaman, although I would not recommend it again. But you can play with a Destro, you can play with Demonology, you can play with an Affliction, you can play with a Shadow Priest, you can play with a Boomy, you can play with a lot of classes. I would even say you can play double Mage, although this season, or at least this patch, it is not as good as it was before. But you have a lot of options, and really, Frost Mages, if you give it a chance, you can have maybe even more fun than Fire Mage. Subtlety rogues, I think like this expansion is still a rogue expansion, and you can have a lot of fun with subtlety rogues. Um, will I main rogue one day? I don't think so, because it was my playstyle before when I was younger, but now I prefer to be on your face or at least kiting. And subtlety is a bit of nothing from those two. It's not really on your face. It is also not kiting. It's just about hitting on the right spot at the right time, or else you flee the battlefield and you come back whenever you can. Resto druids, I feel like it is also a very fun spec to heal, and a very fun spec to actually deal damage in twos. In threes, you cannot really deal damage because you will get obliterated one way or another, but at least you have the possibility to have a lot of mobility. You can juke so many people. In Mungambala, you can go on the high points, try to run away as a deer, and then just go back on top whenever they are jumping for you, and then you have like a lot of space to actually run and heal yourself. So I feel like you have a lot of outplay potential. Cyclone is also a very fantastic spell. You have a lot of CC. You have some capacities to actually turn the tides in your favor. Although I feel like they need to give a bit more damage to be on the disc priest level, I would say. Resto Shaman, very fun. Totems, you have a lot of utility. The only problem is you don't have a lot of healing output, but that can be changed with patches. But the feel of the class is very good. I feel like you have a lot of agency whenever you're pressing CDs, although sometimes it feels like the CDs are not enough, and that's why the power level of the class just jumps into the tier list for example, the healer tier list for trees, for example. But fun wise, it doesn't change that it is actually a very fun healer to play. Survival Hunter, I feel like you're playing the Tarzan of World of Warcraft. You're jumping around, trapping people, on your face with the bombs. You can harpoon again. You can harpoon away on a pet, for example. You have a lot of playstyles that you can have with a Survival Hunter. Although I feel like the talents are not that interchangeable. The PvP talents are not that interchangeable, and also the legendary is still not that interchangeable. Although the nerfs are coming in, but I feel like you can still have fun with a survival hunter. You have in trees a lot of comps that you can play. In twos, you have like the choices between the healers that you already want to play with you, so you are the best class in twos. In RBGs, it is not that fun, but you can have fun doing some RPG stuffs, although I think you will try to make your own groups instead of joining groups, because you will have a target on your back often than not. So windwalkers, they are very active, they do a lot of damage, they have a lot of CDs, they feel good whenever they are doing damage, they are jumping around, teleporting and back, kiting is also very fun. You have a lot of possibilities. I feel like you're very squishy, but that's normal because you have a lot of tools. And imagine if they are not squishy, then yeah, that would be very terrible to play against. But at least you have the fun factor. I feel like you have a lot of builds that you can play. Although, are they all S tier builds? I don't think so. But you can actually change between Kyrian and, for example, Necrolord. You can play with Fist of Fury builds. You can play a mirror build. You can play whatever and actually have fun with it. Fire Mage I already discussed, Frost Mage I already discussed. Fury Warriors, I feel like it is less into a lesser extent, less fun than Arms, especially when it is overpowered. I feel like whenever I see a lot of Fury Warriors, I feel like something is wrong, because Fury Warriors is not the most popular spec. It does feel like a Demon Hunter, although I feel like the Warriors have a lot more utility, a lot more comms to play in, and that's why it is still a A tier fun spec. Affliction Warlock, although their power level is not that great, I am an Affliction main. I still love that class because I love the fantasy of rotting people. I don't really rot anyone at this moment because it is not the playstyle anymore. We are playing around soul rot, drain lifing people. We need Dark Soul to actually deal damage, but you have still the possibilities to have fun with a warlock. I think affliction warlocks are one of the rare specs that every match feels different. Although you can be trained down by every melee, the way that you kite, the way that you make them actually flee the battle whenever you're pressing CDs, and the way that everything is in conjunction with each other makes that affliction warlock is actually a very fun spec to play. Do you need to main it to have fun? I don't know, you can play Destruction, you can play Demonology and have fun with those classes, specs, and then just switch back to Affliction if you want to play a Rot spec, but you have a lot of comps in your disposal to have fun as an Affliction Warlock. Assassination Rogues. So Assassination Rogues, I feel like I said, it is very gimmicky sometimes whenever you're playing Sepsis Vendetta, because for me it is a gimmick whenever you can one-shot someone with just a series of events. But you have a lot of builds. You can play an Envenom build, you can play a Kyrian build, you can play a Necrolord build, you can play a Nightfey build, you can even play Venthyr if you want, although I don't think it is meta at this very moment for Assassination Rogues. You have a lot of builds at your disposal to have fun with rogues. I feel like you have also 3 good specs, so you can always switch from assassination to outlaw or subtlety. And you have a lot of comps in your disposal. You can play with a Shadow Priest, you can play with an RMP, you can play with a Thug cleave, you can play even with a Paladin to make Scooby-Doo cleave. So you have a lot of good things as Assassination Rogues. And I feel like it's a very fun class to play, a very fun spec to play. Destruction Warlock, I feel like it is a very fun cast to play, although sometimes you just don't cast a lot because they will just be on your face. But the good thing is, whenever you're casting a Chaos Bolt, whenever you're casting like an Incinerate from your Disseminating Bolt, a buff, it does feel good whenever you're critting. It does feel good whenever you're chunking big HP from someone. The hardest part is actually kiting, and being felt like the only target in the world to everyone is a satisfaction, but also a disservice to the spec. And sometimes you are mentally drained whenever you're getting trained all the time by melees, but whenever you are exploding those melees, you begin like laughing hysterically how good it is to actually feel the melees crying from your damage, you know? Feral Druids, I feel like you have a lot of playstyles. You can play Nightfey, you can play Necrolord, you can even play Kyrian. They have more comps than Boomies, or maybe the same-ish comps, because you can play Kitty Cleave, Boomy can play with DH Havoc. You can also you can play Havoc Boomy, or you can play Warrior Boomy. It's a bit the same, or even Windwalker Boomy. But as a Feral Druid, I think like the playstyle is more of a hit and run playstyle sometimes as a Necrolord, and as a Nightfey you are trying to run until you can one-shot someone. So I guess it's fun, or you can think that it's not fun. For me, I've tried Feral Druids. I think it's a fun class, although I'm not really maining it. I think it's not going to be a main in the future. I really like Warthog Druid, so I'm going to play Feral in Warthog and compare it with that. So I'm excited to actually try it in Wrath of the Lich King. Marksman Hunter, very fun because you can one-shot people. You have a lot more variety in the gameplay that you do. Sometimes you are not focused, which is good, and sometimes you are very much focused and it becomes very hard to actually deal damage. But you have a lot of variety comp-wise and also damage-wise. You have also a lot of legendaries that you can try and play. And yeah, I feel like you have a lot of choices as a hunter to actually play survival or MM. Unholy DK is a very fun spec because you have a lot of builds. You have also a lot of internal builds. You can play a pet DK, or you can play a disease DK or a burst DK. You have a lot of good things going on with Unholy. You have also a lot of comps. You can play with a Warlock, which is Shadow Cleave. You can play with a Shadow Priest, which is a bit annoying. Yes, it is annoying, but it can be fun for Unholy DK. You can play with DH Havoc and just turn off your brain and just go, 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 go every time, all the time. Or you can play with a Warrior and play TSG, which is also a bit of go, 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 but a bit less than a Demon Hunter, of course. But that's a really fun class to play. I've already made a guide about it, but I might make a second guide whenever they're making changes, because they will make changes in the future, because Unholy DK being top tier is not something that they like to see. Retribution Paladin, I feel like it's monotone. You have only TSG in trees, or maybe sometimes Cupid or Scooby-Doo Cleave, but I feel like it is not as strong. It doesn't have a lot of mobility. You have one-shot potential, and sometimes it is very fun to one-shot people, but I feel like the previous iteration of Retribution Paladin made a better gameplay feel, I would say, than current iteration of Retribution Paladins. Shadow Priest, I feel like it doesn't do any damage, and whenever it does like any like zero damage, even lower than Affliction, I feel like it's not really worthwhile playing. You are the utility bot. You will love to be useful for your team, but as a player, Shadow Priest is not really fun except mind games. But you don't even play mind games anymore as a Shadow Priest, so that's the problem with a Shadow Priest for me. Outlaw Rogue, I think it's boring. I think Outlaw Rogue is not a fun spec. It was a lot more fun when it was combat, but even then combat was also a bit of the unfun rogue specs that you can play. I don't know, man. The pirate fantasy is good, but they need to rework somehow, some way for me. But at least I think there is a lot of classes or a lot of players that actually love to play with Outlaw Rogue. But yeah, I'm not one of them. Arcane Mage, I think it's boring. At least I'm not having fun whenever I'm playing it. And yeah, they need a rework. They need to rework Arcane. I prefer to play Wrath of the Lich King Arcane, and it was already monotone. But Shadow Priest Arcane is, yeah, it's a worse Fire Mage in my opinion, because it has the same mechanics. You're trying to fish out procs. You're trying to one-shot people whenever you're going for a go, for example. While Frost Mages, they are always in possibility where they can kill someone, but they can always cast anything else to make it useful to cast, I would say. Boomies, I don't like the playstyle. I prefer Wrath of the Lich King playstyle. They have a lot of comps though. I can understand why people prefer or actually like Balance Druids. For me, it is not a fun class, and I don't enjoy to play it. I prefer to play Feral or Restoration Druid. The Enhancement Shaman, it is okay fun, but you only have one great comp, and it is actually turbo. And then you have like Beast Cleave, or you can play with a Windwalker, which is a turbo fist, I would say. You have comps, but it is not optimal, and it's very hard to actually enjoy your class if you're playing only the same comp. Although you can master it, I feel like you will be bored very quickly with Enhancement Shaman. Frost DK. Frost DK. I think the fantasy is very fun, but they need to step away from the pillar ghost that you only can kill whenever you're doing pillar of frost. I feel like it's very bad design. They could do it a lot better. I feel like just disarm just kills your class pretty much, except if you're trinketing the disarm. The problem is then you are susceptible to CC, and then it becomes very hard to come back into the game. But you have a lot of comms though. I just prefer to not have a 1 minute go every time and then feel 45 seconds being useless, I would say. Demonology Warlock, I don't like nameplate cleaves. I don't like to play against, I don't like to play with. Um, I don't know, man, and the damage feels underwhelming. It can do a lot of damage. I'm not saying that it doesn't do damage, but sometimes it just feels that you're doing zero damage, and at the end of the day, you're doing top damage. But I don't like the feel. Holy Paladin, I feel like they need to step away from Holy Power once and for all. Since they already introduces like Holy Power to Holy Paladin, it made it a lot more unfun to play, and also I feel like it is not a playstyle for me. Mistweaver monks, they like damage and agency to actually kill targets and to actually finish games. I feel like the healing and the mobility is very fun, that's why it is not a D tier, but frankly enough, I prefer to play any other healer instead of this undamaging healer, I would say. So, Demon Hunter Havoc, I don't like to have only 3 spells to hit to do damage, so that's why it's D tier. BM Hunter, the same. I don't like to have only 3 spells to hit to do damage. Fury is quite the same, but Fury has a lot of utility, a lot of agency that you can do. You have also a bit more builds that you can play, a lot more comes to play in. So I feel like it's not the same and not comparable to BM or Havoc, although the gameplay is very, very, very simplified. It is not on a BM hunter or a demon hunter kind of level. Holy Priest is probably the most boring healer to play because I don't like Holy Priest. I feel like a Holy Priest should not be meta in PvP, but that's because I'm old school. But I don't like Serenity, I don't like Flash Heal, I don't like Holy Fires, I don't like Smite, I don't like Chastise, I don't like anything from Holy Priest. I don't wish that it is actually removed, I just wish that they rework it if you want to make it work in PvP. So that's why it is also very drastically different with Disc Priest, for example. So this is my tier list. I explained it every class at least. The video is not 40 minutes long, it's still 20 minutes long, so my excuses. But of course, I hope you guys learned something. Maybe you want to main something else. This is the fun tier list, of course. This is not the best tier list I've made, but at least I made one because I always wanted to list the best specs, the best classes that I like to play, I don't like to play, and yeah, try to make it as good as possible so people can understand or relate whatever I'm saying. So thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you. I wish you a very great day. We will see each other very soon. Bye.